Hi team, I'm Stephen Patrick, HSQ Manager for ResourceGo. Welcome to our virtual toolbox, which today is going to be dedicated to National Safety Month, October, which occurs every year. And this year's theme is Every Job, Every Day. So as we get into National Safe Work Month in October, we want to talk about 6 important things to consider. Remembering the theme is every job, every day. And that theme's not going to be just for October, it's going to be, forever. With me is Daniel Langley, our Safety and Compliance Officer here in Victoria, also does a lot of work around the other states and the other projects. Daniel, I'd just like to talk through the 6 things we want to consider as part of this presentation. First of all, we really want all drivers, all employees for that matter, to report all incidents and hazards.
Absolutely, Steve. It's our way to understand what's happening on site for you guys. A lot of the time we are out on site, but there is times where we're in the office and we need to understand what you guys are seeing. If it's a tight access point at a site, or there's material lying on the ground that makes it extremely difficult for you guys to manoeuvre around site, or unfortunately accidents do happen, we do need to know about them so we can obviously help you guys with the corrective actions that need to happen to make sure it's done successfully.
Absolutely. If something's not right, then we want to know about it because we want to be able to help you where possible. So moving on to do not operate a heavy vehicle whilst fatigued. What does that mean?
So obviously we have a legal obligation to under heavy vehicle national law around standard hours fatigue that we run under. So you guys have requirements of what time breaks are required to be had and how long you can work for, etc. We really want to make sure you guys are out there on public roads safely, not feeling tired, not driving when you're not fit for duty, etc. And also that you have the records to show that you're following those standards as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. And look, just remember that there's fatigue-related accidents that are out there on the public roads and also at private work sites every year and probably every day. And we don't hear of every single one of them as individuals, but they do happen. And so regardless of any paperwork you need to fill out or apps you need to enter information into, if you're not feeling right, if you're feeling a bit off, a bit tired, a bit fatigued, don't operate that heavy vehicle and get in contact with us and your immediate boss. And then that way we're keeping everyone safe. Look, moving on to exclusion zones. This is a really big one for me. Over the years, I've seen and heard of a lot of really bad accidents where drivers or operators become pedestrians for whatever reason. They need to move around a site, or even if they just have to get out of their truck to walk into a 7-Eleven to get a coffee. You've just got to be aware of your surroundings. So what does it mean in most of our sites when we talk about exclusion zones?
So obviously within our fill sites, there's certain areas that you can't enter while there's machines operating. You got to look at the 30-20-10 rule around our big machinery at tip sites, but also on the major projects. There's certain areas that are flagged off or barricaded off that we can't enter. It is very, very important around these exclusion zones that we are operating. We will talk a little bit further along the line around UHF use, but constant communication so everybody knows where everybody is at any given time, and there's no surprises for anyone that a truck just appears behind a machine or vice versa. Machines, you're trying to tip off at the tip site and then all of a sudden you've got a machine that's going straight behind you when you're trying to concentrate on what job you need to do as well.
Great advice. Look after yourselves. Do not become a pedestrian in the line of fire for an operator or driver that may not be able to see you and may not be able to contact you in that situation. So, look, the next one, respecting the community by maintaining safe driving practices at all times. The bottom line here is your family and our families are all out on those roads day in, day out, and if that's not enough incentive and reason for us to remain safe and set that great example that I know most of you do every day, look, I don't know what is. So, Dan, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, look, obviously it's just the basic things, guys. Indicating early, we operate very big machinery, from tandems all the way up to, quad trailer, twin trailer. We need room to move and we need to advise the public of our manoeuvres. So please indicate early. Obviously, traffic lights, please don't just assume that you're going to get through on an orange light and try and get through that light. Be aware of your surroundings. So, look up ahead at the traffic. Is it slowing down? Do you need to make a manoeuvre to move over to avoid any sort of tight scenarios? And give space, especially, around tailgating and that kind of thing. You need at least 4 or 5 seconds for you guys to, make manoeuvres in a safe manner. So please, guys, just be aware of your surroundings, take your time, and obviously follow all, posted speed limits, etc.
Fantastic advice, allowing enough time to take action in the event of something unplanned going wrong, anticipate what could go wrong at any time. So that's really good stuff. Look, the next one hits a nerve with me. UHF radios. I've known them to save lives, and I've known them, when not being used, to cost lives. As recently as 3 weeks ago today, a young driver at Cleanaway, and one of the sites at Cleanaway that I used to have to actually be involved in and look after, actually got run over by a front-end loader. For the simple fact is that someone was trying to tell the front-end loader operator that he was about to impact a pedestrian worker that was this driver. The guy is now dead. So I can't stress that anymore. Daniel?
Absolutely. We provide you guys as much as we possibly can around UHF channels for major projects. Obviously, it's listed everywhere on our sites. You've just got to have it turned up. You can't be having Bluetooth earbuds and stuff while you're on site. You need to be concentrating and listening to that radio to be hearing instructions from our staff, major project staff, ground staff, traffic control, all that kind of thing. Just as we've sort of touched on, things can happen at any moment, and we need to be able to be contactable and also let others know what we're doing too. So if you need to get out of your truck on a site, call out to the loader, hey mate, I've just got to go out and check my scales, or my tarp's not quite closing, I'm just letting you know I'm getting out of my truck, so they are aware of what's happening. Again, don't allow a surprise to happen and you end up in a spot where you shouldn't be, or you surprise a loader because he doesn't know you're there due to lack of communication.
Thanks for that. Moving on to do not operate a heavy vehicle overloaded. So look, we all know that driving an overloaded vehicle based on heavy vehicle national law is illegal, but what else does it mean, and what can drivers do to sort of maintain their compliance in this area?
So obviously we all know that mandatory scales for all trucks that work for ResourceCo, be that tandems, truck and trailers, etc. So again, you guys understand what you're being loaded to and how much material you're carrying. Now, we've put out multiple information around our process if you're overloaded, especially if you're on site. Do not leave. Please raise it to the loader operator. Ask for a safe spot to tip off the material, even if you need to tip off the whole load or trailer, truck, and get reloaded. That's what we want you to do. I do not want you to leave overloaded at any point. If you are having issues with having a safe spot to tip off, please call the ResourceCo operations team or myself or Steve, and we will help you get that extra material off to make sure you're going out on a public road safely.
Thanks, Daniel. So there it is. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you all for everything you do for us. Working safely is not an easy thing to do sometimes, but obviously we reap the rewards by running a successful business and getting each of us home safely to our families and loved ones every day. And of course, keeping the general community safe as well as we undertake our tasks. So safety starts with me. It certainly starts with you and all of us. And remember, every job, every day.
Safety starts with me.
Safety starts with me.
Safety starts with me.